Thank you very much. Well, I did have a very productive conversation last night with Chairs Cole and Collins and Ranking Member DeLauro about conferencing the first three bills and a bipartisan short-term CR to allow us to pass the remaining full-year bills. But we are 9 days into September, and it is past time for Democrats to start hearing from Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune regarding their commitment to a bipartisan CR to avert a shutdown and move this ball forward. Look, let's remember, Republicans control the House, the Senate, and the White House. They are quite literally in the driver's seat. And if Republican leadership, for whatever reason, decides to let the car go off the cliff, we know who will be held responsible. Because the only reason for there to be a shutdown is if Trump wants a shutdown. The only reason for there to be a shutdown is if Republicans choose a shutdown. Because Democrats do not want a shutdown. We want to produce and protect folks back at home and the investments they rely on. So there is a tried and true off-ramp Republicans can take to avoid a shutdown. Work with us on bills that actually help people. Work with us on bills that reject the catastrophic cuts Trump wants and that protect child care investments and fund cancer research and invest in our public schools. This is basic stuff. If you want Democratic votes, work with Democrats to write funding bills that reflect Democratic priorities. Our doors are open. We are at the table. And as I said, Ranking Member DeLauro and I are at the table with Chairs Cole and Collins. But we know this means very little unless Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune agree with their approach to a bipartisan short-term CR that carries some of our conference bills. My general approach is to lay out my principles and invite my colleagues to the negotiating table. And the main focus for me right now comes down to this. First, I want the strongest possible outcome for the folks I represent. And second, I will not vote for a funding bill I had zero say in drafting. I do not pursue bipartisan funding legislation for etiquette or civility. I do it when it is clear it is the best way to get the best result for the people of my home state of Washington and every part of our country. We have proven that with our bills here in the Senate, rejecting Trump's budget request left and right, because let me tell you, it does belong in the trash, on the Appropriations Committee, we have not just shown that bipartisan work is possible, despite what House Republicans pretend, but also that it can deliver stronger results for people at home. When Democrats have a say, we write bills that protects people's health care and reject Trump's plan to slash kids' cancer research. When Democrats have a say, we protect funding for preschoolers enrolled in Head Start and for our public schools. When Democrats have a say, we make sure working families have a seat at the negotiating table. Those outcomes matter to people back home. So I am fighting to pass spending bills that help people get by. And I'm fighting to ensure we do not end up in another partisan, year-long slush fund CR that hands more power to Trump and vote. It is clear the bipartisan path is the surest way to avoid a shutdown. And it is clear, based on our work this summer, bipartisan path is actually possible. The only question is, will Republicans choose that path so we can invest in our communities, or will they choose partisanship and a shutdown? Will they do whatever Trump and Russ want instead of what is best for folks at home? We need Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune to get serious about the path ahead. I invite Republican leadership once again to reject shutdown politics, help conference these three bills we've passed, and work on a short bipartisan CR that helps us complete full-year bipartisan funding bills. The ball is in the Republicans' court. So to my Republican colleagues, let's work together. We don't work for Russ vote. Let's turn back on life-saving cures and support America's public schools. Let's protect health care and address other out-of-control costs that we know Trump is making worse by day.
Thank you, Senator Murray. Senator Schatz.